What's up everyone, this is CyberKnight8610, and today we're going to talk more about the Yugioh The Dark Side Dimensions movie. Just saw it today, and this video will have spoilers. I want to warn everyone, this will have spoilers from the movie. Don't watch it anymore if you don't want to be spoiled on any of the movie, what happens to it, and I recommend going and seeing the movie. I'm just saying that this is more of a video for people out there that have seen the movie and that want to discuss things that happened in it. So I thought that'd be fun to kind of do a spoiler review as well and kind of talk about some of the different things. I'll try to go over as much as I can, but I also don't want this video to be too long because I talk about too much stuff. I know how I am on discussion videos and stuff. So anyway, so first off in the movie, you have the original cast. They're all older now, and they're talking about different things they want to do. Yugi wants to, of course, make his own game in the future. You have Taya going off to, I believe, dance class, is what she was saying. So she was actually flying off to there. And then, what was it? Joey just wants to be a professional duelist. And then Tristan is worried that he's going to have to work at his dad's factory. So it was kind of cool just to, like I said in the last video, to see our main characters growing up again. And Kaiba's just being Kaiba the whole time. What he's doing is that he wants to bring back the Pharaoh any way he can. He wants to, his mission is to try to get the Millennium Puzzle back. He's even able to make like this VR or AR experience, I guess it's AR technically, alternate reality, where he actually scanned all of the Pharaoh's cards, you know, and even he thinks he has the personality right and all kinds of stuff where he's able to duel against him. But of course, it's still not the Pharaoh. But he's dueling against him. I guess he does this a lot. I mean, we get to see one of those duels in this episode where he actually beats the Pharaoh. And that was just so cool. Like, I don't know if the Pharaoh would actually go down that easy. And I think he knows that as well. When he's doing that, he's like, it's just not the same. You know, like you can go against a computer on any version of a game. It can be, you know, from Yu-Gi-Oh to chess, whatever. It's not going to be the same as going against a person. I think that's his whole thinking too, is that he wants to actually duel against the Pharaoh. And I think that's kind of a cool motivation for him in this movie to see. So it was kind of cool to see that. And in this movie, he's kind of an antagonist, yet he's also a good guy too. You know, he's always like Kaiba is. So it was cool to see that again too, where he wasn't too nice, yet, you know, he's not the bad guy either. And in this, of course, we get to see that we actually have a little bit more story for what happened to Shadi, which was, if you don't remember him, he is the one that has the Millennium Key. We saw him, I believe, what was it, like, of course, with Pegasus, and, you know, in the original series. And then I think we see him in Dawn of the Duel, like at the beginning or something. Like, I don't think he was in the series that much at all. And so it was kind of weird, and we didn't really get much, you know, info on what happened to him or anything on that. And with that, of course, we even get to see how Bakura gets the Millennium Ring. His grandpa is trying to get it. He wants to find it so bad. It ends up, I guess, killing him whenever he puts it on. I don't know. I guess it does. I mean, it's hard to think of that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's usually, you know, getting sent to the stars or Shadow Realm. But I think it actually does kill him in this. And then Bakura picks up the necklace. He puts it on. And it, of course, takes him over like it does in the show. And this is where that all begins. And he ends up actually killing Shadi as well. He, like, shoots like an energy beam. It's like Dragon Ball Z, I know. Where he actually ends up killing him. And he was actually, Shadi was actually trying to get these different kids to basically kind of carry on, I guess, his way of thinking, because that's what he was saying, you're younger, you don't understand fear and all that. So he was trying to teach them that, of course, whenever the Pharaoh was to return, and then, of course, when that duel would happen with Yugi and the Pharaoh, that afterwards, whenever everything was settled, that the Millennium Items would be gone, and that these kids would gain this power to be able to help the world and make everything a reality. Like, they can make their imaginations real, basically, through this. And that's what he was trying to kind of instill into them, and I guess kind of make it so they're kind of protectors in a way of Millennium Items. And we even basically get an 8th Millennium Item, believe it or not, too, that cube that he has. I think they just, I think it's just called the Cube the whole time. I don't know if they actually have a specific name. Millennium Cube, I guess? I don't know. I don't remember them actually giving a specific name. But, of course, after Shadi is then killed, then we, or Shin, I think they actually say in the show, but I think his name was Shadi. Wasn't it back then? I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but they say Shin in the movie, if that helps. But anyway, after he is killed, you know, of course, as he's dying, then he gives the Millennium Cube over to Egami, who is our antagonist for this movie. And you see all the stuff he goes through and everything, and it was just cool to have that backstory too. Like, they have a rough upbringing with him and his sister, you know, not being able to get food and everything. So you get to see why he has a lot of darkness in his heart and everything, and how that all kind of, how he ends up becoming the way he is on that. So, and of course he's mad at Bakura for what happened. And then of course later on, Egami confronts Joey and Bakura because they're on their way to Yugi's house. And you can tell Bakura feels really bad about what happened because Egami kind of makes him relive what happened. That's how we get the backstory. And I just feel bad for Bakura in this because the whole time he is not like that in the Millennium Ring power. And you can tell that he's one of those characters that always has to struggle with that, you know, because he was the main villain at the end of the series. And he still feels bad for it. So I really felt for him in this movie. And of course Joey also gets sealed up in the cube. Like he has that power where he can seal people up, Egami does. And he ends up sealing up Bakura. And also too, I don't know, I'm kind of skipping over something that I need to get back to. But whenever Kaiba, he's wanting to get the Pharaoh back, he is trying to get the Millennium Puzzle. They find it, and he goes over to get it and actually fly it back to his place to put it together. But then Egami goes up against him. I like how Egami was trying to seal Kaiba away, and then he puts on Duelist, and he's able to actually resist the power of it. And it's just kind of funny to see the different quips from Kaiba. He's like, you know, because of course Egami's talking about his technology, how it's never gonna be as a match for magic. And that's when he's like, well, I guess my technology was good enough. You know, it's just Kaiba's just, like I said, he's definitely Kaiba in this movie. You get to see a duel with them, and it's a dimension duel. It's kind of like the old days because you're able to summon monsters without tributing them. And that kind of reminded me of the old days when I was dueling against my friends where we would, you know, summon like Blue Eyes without tributing. So it was kind of cool to see that. And of course you get to power up your monsters with it. And it's kind of like a shadow game basically. So you get to see them go back and forth. Kaiba's on the ropes about to lose. And he actually brings forth Obelisk the Tormentor, the one that we, of course, get our promo card of. So you get to see Obelisk in this movie. It's so freaking cool. I don't know if it's something to do with his ties to the Pharaoh or what, but he actually, you know, kind of hits the ground, and then you see Obelisk just rise up. And it was so cool to see it. Best part of the movie, I think, in my opinion, just seeing that was so cool. So he ends up able to, it basically ends in a draw, I guess, with him and Egami. And then Egami does go up to the Millennium Puzzle, though, and he takes 2 pieces away, gives one to his sister. His sister gives that piece to Yugi, and then, of course, he keeps one of the pieces. So then, of course, Kaiba wants to get the rest of the pieces. So then, of course, he starts this whole tournament trying to get the other 2 pieces, where he wants to duel against Egami and Yugi. Before that happens, though, we even get Joey, where he's like in this world of his imagination from the cube, and everything's fading around him, and then you see the Pharaoh. I think it's actually the Pharaoh, or maybe it's Yugi, I'm not really sure, but I think it's the Pharaoh technically, because it looked more like him, because it looked like an older Yugi. And he is able to save Joey from that, because he's able to hold on to his memory, I believe, of Yugi and the Pharaoh, and that saves him from it. So that was pretty cool to see, and that's what he was even telling Yugi, you know, just thank you on that. You know, he didn't really say too much, but I thought that was kind of a cool thing. And I think it was kind of the Pharaoh, but it was probably a mix of the two, really, that saved him. That's what I was thinking, that because it's memories, I was thinking, well, the memories he has with his friends will probably be the thing that will help him out in that situation. So that was cool. And then, of course, going back to the tournament thing, you have then Yugi wanting to duel against Egami to save Bakura. And that's why I love how he kind of tells off Kaiba in this. And he's like, I don't care what you think, Kaiba. And to me, I was like, yes, Yugi has grown up. He doesn't have to have the Pharaoh with him anymore. He just told off Kaiba. Like, I thought that was probably another one of those parts of the movie, too, that's my favorite. You know, just seeing that, he's like, no. And even Kaiba's like, you know what, I'll just let you duel against him. And so, of course, Egami versus Yugi, and that was a really cool thing to see. I mean, just the whole duel was amazing. But, of course, he ends up winning. And then it kind of sends Egami away, I guess, sort of into that shadow realm. So, of course, not the end of him just yet. And then, of course, it is Kaiba versus Yugi. And it's actually Yugi, not the Pharaoh. And I was kind of happy about that. I mean, I love seeing the Pharaoh. I was wanting to see the Pharaoh this whole movie. But I was glad throughout that part of the duel, it was Yugi. You know, it's just plain and simple. And it was just so cool to see that he has grown up. He's standing up for himself. And the whole duel with them is just, it felt like the original series again. Just everything. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole duel, but it was amazing. I liked how he went up to Kaiba towards the end of it, and he's like, I can't bring the Pharaoh back. He's gone. He even puts the puzzle pieces in, the one from Egami and his, back into it, and he, you know, puts together, and the spirit doesn't come out of the Pharaoh. That's what he's saying. He's gone from it. He's not part of this world anymore. That Kaiba needs to let that go, because he's moved on. He's in the afterlife now. So it's kind of, you can see that Kaiba's really upset about that, but he kind of gets it, but you know Kaiba's not going to give up on anything. And then, of course, Egami comes back, brings out the fusion, you know, of the Crimson Trinity and everything. And then you see that Yugi and Kaiba are dueling against him. And to me, that was just so cool to see them team up again. That was a good send-off to it. And even in that duel, they team up pretty well, but in that duel, Kaiba even sacrifices himself to save Yugi with his trap card. He goes ahead and uses, I forget what it was, but anyway, he takes the attack instead of Yugi. I thought that was kind of cool, another way to show that he's grown up in a lot of ways. And then of course, before he fades into nothingness kind of, or that memory world or whatever really, shadow game stuff, so I'm not really sure exactly what we're going with on that. He gives Yugi the puzzle, and that's what he said, get the Pharaoh. You know, it doesn't matter, hold on to this, get the Pharaoh. And I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, Yugi puts it on, and then he's ready to duel, and then you actually see the Pharaoh come back. And I will say, this is kind of something interesting, and even though the spoiler video, if you don't want to hear about this, I still recommend seeing the movie if you haven't yet. But the Pharaoh doesn't speak at all. And throughout this whole thing, like, he looks like he goes Super Saiyan basically in this. It reminded me of like Yusei versus Zone, where he went gold and everything, and you see the Pharaoh, doesn't say a word, and just he summons Mahad and ends the duel. Just plain and simple. And then you see him looking at Yugi later on, like they're split again. And it was a pretty emotional scene, I gotta be honest. I mean, without sounding too weird on that, I mean, honestly, that was pretty touching to see that again after all these years. So I really enjoyed that, and yeah, you see all that happening, and then of course Egami's defeated, and they all lose their like power that Shen gave them. So they lose their power and stuff, but it looks like everything kind of goes back to normal, like they kind of get their lives back. So kind of a happy ending for everyone on there. Of course, you see Yugi and his friends graduating. Taya goes off to her dancing school. I don't know if they ever said where she was flying to. It might have been US, I don't know. But yeah, she ends up flying off and everything. And then we see Kaiba. And this is where I'm wondering if there could be a sequel. I don't know. This could be something kind of interesting, but I don't know if it's a couple of years later, a year later or something, but they're talking about how the Duelist is actually released now and how great it's doing. And he's up in the space station where he has like a virtual reality system around him, which I was wondering, is it the virtual world thing all over again like we saw from the original series? But it looks like it's a little bit different. Somehow, I don't know if it is a virtual world or if he actually travels to the past, but he's able to technically send himself back down to Earth in this card-like thing, and that's why I guess it's time travel. It's not really said too much, but I'm going to assume it is. And he is in ancient Egypt, and he walks up to the Pharaoh, and you see the Pharaoh smiling there and everything, and it's just awesome. So it looks like Kaiba, in a way, got his wish. Looks like he's going to get to duel against the Pharaoh. He's sitting with the virtual reality duel disc and everything, and he just stands there in front of the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh stands up, and that's where it ends. So I gotta say, I hope there's a sequel to that. I would love to see something on that, like maybe the Pharaoh needs some help again, or just, seeing Yugi come up with his own game or something. I'd watch a movie on that, just anything. I think that'd be really cool, and I kind of wonder, seeing this, like I said, it reminds me so much of Battle of Gods for Dragon Ball Z, that it makes me wonder in some ways, could we see something more to the original series? I don't know, I never would have thought we would have saw Dragon Ball Super, so I hope there's something else to it, but it could just be me wishing for something. I don't know. I thought this movie was amazing, just so much to it. It's hard to compress everything in this video, and I know if this video is probably I've talked long enough on it, but it's hard not to really talk a lot about it without because there's so much that happens. I feel like I said, it feels like an actual season of Yugioh in a movie. And that's why it was a longer movie. It had a lot more to explain, a lot of duels going on, and just a lot of epic moments. Like I said, a lot of emotional moments, and especially if you remember the original series, you watched it as a kid, it really does tug at your heartstrings on that too. So I gotta say, I recommend it. I thought it was a great movie, my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh movie, one of my favorite anime movies, I'll say. And it was like Battle of Gods or Digimon Tri, where it's just kind of, you remember those characters, you remember watching them when you're younger, and it just means a lot. But yeah, I definitely recommend you seeing this movie because it is definitely worth it. Go see it in theaters any way you can, or wait for a DVD release, Blu-ray, whatever. I mean, it is definitely worth watching, and I can't recommend it enough, to be very honest. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the movie. Of course, again, the spoiler review, so you guys can, of course, talk about spoiler stuff in the comments if you want, and tell me what your thoughts were on the movie. I try to explain as much as I can, but again, I didn't want this video to be too long, and I know I talk a lot about it because there's a lot going on in this movie, so I don't want this video to be too long for you guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, helps out a ton. Subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh content, and of course I will. Catch you guys later. See ya.